Hi, I'm Melinda Boring, and I'm here this morning with my friend and author, Kathy Kuhl. She's the author of Homeschooling Your Struggling Learner. And Kathy, can you tell us what led you to write this book?
After I homeschooled my son for grades 4 through 12, a lot of people had helped me, and I started thinking about all that help I'd received, and I had people asking me questions. So I wanted to pull together what I had learned to pass on to other people. But I didn't want it to just be my own experience because our kids are so different in so many ways when kids have learning difficulties. So I interviewed 64 families across North America with kids diagnosed with autism, attention deficit disorder, or learning disabilities. And of course a variety of other conditions come along with all of those because our kids are so different. So I pulled that together to try and help other people.
Great. So who would benefit the most from reading your book? Would this book also be useful to those who have children in the public schools or primarily homeschool? And is it for all ages?
Yes, it is for all ages. I start with the decision to homeschool for the families that are thinking about it, maybe not sure. Even families who have kids in school will find a lot of the materials helpful. A lot of people get into homeschooling like I did because they started out doing what we call after schooling. You spend so much time helping the child after school that you think, wait a minute, if I started at 9 a.m., my kid wouldn't be so exhausted. So it would help folks considering it, folks who are deciding not to homeschool but doing a lot of extra work at home. I've also geared it to help people who have been homeschooling a while, and maybe the second or third child is coming along and this one didn't learn to read at age 5 and doesn't like reading War and Peace at age 11 but is struggling to get through a Bobbsey Twins book or a boxcar book or something easy. To help those children whose parents have been homeschooling but are not as familiar with the special needs community, I've also addressed their concern to try to help them.
So the book has wide applicability for many people. It's a great resource. I've looked through the book and I think it's the kind of book people will keep on their shelf and flip to certain chapters again and again just for that motivation, those very practical ideas and resources you include, and just the hope that it gives them that you made it and maybe they can too. So I know as an author you've had a big project writing this book and a lot went into it. Do you have a favorite moment that happened while you were writing this book and doing your interviews and so on?
Well, the interviews were terrific. There's a wonderful group of people with a wide range of experience. And two people come to mind, though, that helped I think the most were my mom and my son. My mom was the one who is dyslexic herself and said, keep the chapters short, so you can't use it like a handbook. But I think my favorite moment altogether in the writing of it was when I realized I could use a description my son had written while we were homeschooling. I think when he was about 14, he wrote me a couple pages on what it's like to have attention deficit disorder, and that with his auditory processing difficulties. And so he gave me the internal dialogue of what happens when mom says, do the dishes. And he goes through this whole 2 pages of how he's thinking about the weather and how he needs to read the forecast. It was hysterically funny.
So you got the inside view. And it's funny now because your son is a young adult.
And he washes dishes sometimes without
So that's good. It does happen. So I think this is a wonderful, packed resource, Kathy, and thank you for writing your book. If people want to get in touch with you, I know that you also have a newsletter and a website. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you and find out more?
Oh, thank you. The best way is to visit my website, which is www.learndifferently.com. You can email me there, info@learndifferently.com. You can also sign up there for my newsletter. The Learn Differently newsletter comes out about once a month. I review different books because I know as we homeschool and help our struggling learners, we don't have time to read every book that comes out. So I try to help you figure out what might help you.
That's great. Thanks for being with us this morning, Kathy. It was great talking with you, and I'm glad that you're out there reading the books to help the rest of us know how to pick from the massive amounts of information that are out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.